Could be, but then how do you justify a guy, give him one test and you forget about him for the
Yeah,
next?
horses for courses. No, you're right. Like first time in a long time, we went into a test series as favorites and we blew it. So, now we
Yeah.
are playing catch-up cricket to draw a series now. Yeah,
One day form transfers in and being standby means you might play the next game.
yeah, you
So
called
I
it.
think
Welcome to another episode of Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast with Vida and Bora. And this episode is sponsored by Sports Australia. I'm here with my co-host Sohan. How are you doing, Bora?
good, Vida. Good to be here. How have you been?
Yeah, it's just dealing with the winter, cold mornings. Yeah, but the day gets better as the day progresses. Bit disappointed because the first test match didn't go till the fifth day, and it ended up being a 3-day test match. That's the main topic for today, isn't it, Bora? I think a lot happened in that test match, starting from the decision to make a pitch that turned square from the day one backfired on us, isn't it?
Yeah, I think let's get straight into it. We'd like to do a quick review of the test match that just finished. Starting off with the pitch, not the best decision, I guess. When you look back on it, I guess the thinking would have been the Australian team will struggle against spin, and then we'll be able to get on top of them, similar to how we got on top of West Indies. That would have been the mindset going into it. I think we jokingly talked about how Chris Silva would gonna say, "Nah, we'll just go with one fast bowler. We'll beat them with spin." But things didn't go our way. I think we'll touch base more in depth as we discuss about our batting and bowling of the game. But the biggest, I think you got to understand, if we relate into the one day, spin wasn't a really big factor. It was high scoring games as well, patchy spin, but then it's a different set of spin bowlers who featured in the one days to what we have in the test series. So that pretty much gives us an indication how we fared. But I think on hindsight, when you now look back, going into a 2-match series against a top team, we would have, if you had a chance to change the layout of the pitch, would have been to be a more flat track, like what Pakistan did. They try to have an even competition between bat and ball from the start, and then weigh options to see how things handle there. So, but interesting what they'll do going into the second test match.
Yeah, I think now we are doing catch up now, and first test of the series, as you said, we shouldn't have played safe, but at least prepare a pitch where the batsman can put a big score in the first innings. I think we missed the trick there, preparing. It was basically a dust ball, Bora. I mean, Imut did the right thing. He won the toss and batted, and without that inning from Dick Weller, who counter-attacked the Australian bowlers, we wouldn't have even made 150 to challenge Aussies. Playing a test match, first game of a series, you don't want to be out of the game in the second session of the game. So the plan backfired on us. We went with 3 specialist spinners. Van der Sar earned his test cap in the test match. In the past, we saw a few caps being handed out, but I think Van der Sar earned this test cap. A few years ago, they sent him home from West Indies, and this was a strong comeback from him. He had a very good domestic season, winning a one-day title for his club. That got him the nod ahead of a few other players. He took a couple of wickets, but batting, you can't say the batting failed us, Bora, because how we win test matches in Sri Lanka is you bat long in the first innings and make big runs, then get the other side out twice. And we did not give a chance to our batsmen to do that. So, as I said, without Dick Weller's runs, the test would have finished in 2 days.
Yeah, you're right. I think getting into our batting, we just couldn't. Normally, Sri Lankan sides have been able to bat long periods, tire the bowlers and then cash in a bit more because we tend to handle the spin a lot better. After the game, Chris Silverwood came out and said we need to play the sweep shot a lot better when we didn't execute it well compared to the Australians. And I could see a mindset change where they came out in the second innings just trying to sweep every ball. I think
Yeah.
the effect that Cameron Green and Alex Carey had, the way they batted out when they had that chance, had a massive effect on what was discussed in. I feel what was discussed in the dressing room.
Mm.
I'm sure. My guess is the management or the staff, the coach, and the players would have had a discussion. Look, we need to attack, and sweep would be the better option to go.
Mm.
And they forced it upon all our batters to take that shot on, and we didn't execute it well. So it's almost an indication that we went out of our games or shot selections that we're used to play a different brand of cricket that was seen effective, that was, executed by Australia really well. I think that's where we went. I think second innings, if you were to sum it up, that's where we went
Mm.
wrong because we tried to play a game that we are not used to. Dick Weller plays it really well with the
Mm.
sweeps, reverse sweeps, whatnot. But the rest of the top order, the likes of even your Dimuts, Kusal Mendes, I've seen them play because they use the back foot really well against
Back
spin,
foot, yep.
especially to Nathan Lyon. The Sri Lankans like to play it off their hip towards square leg, and they
Mm.
always make the singles very easily. That's, if you look at your Mahelas in the past, they sweep, but it's not their sweep always. They've got good wrist where they can get on top of it and milk it towards square leg or wide off dawn for the ones.
Maybe the way Angie got out in the first innings, he gloved it to leg slip. So
Yeah.
must have put some doubt on batsman's mind. The two balls Dhananjaya and Chandimal got from Swepson, how do you play that, right?
Yeah.
Those top two deliveries, and those things play on batsman's head, isn't it?
Now you summed it up where we got to bite the bullet because we knew in goal test matches are won very convincingly. So either we
Yeah.
lose it convincingly or we win it. When
Mm.
England was here with Chris Silverwood and Joe Root scored, tons of runs, they won those games easily as well.
Yeah.
So for us, unfortunate, we fell short, and now there's a bit of I guess doubts creeping in. You can see because they've changed the entire spin attack by taking in pretty much the one-day spinners into the test squad.
Yeah.
And they've let go of Ambul, and I think Praveen's out because of COVID.
Yep.
But that's also a sign of panic creeping in. So it's good because I think we spoke about Dunit Velallage, how one day form transfers in and being standby means you might play the next game.
Yeah, you
So
called
I
it.
think that small indication I'm not surprised if he plays, but that's the sequence of Sri Lanka selections in a nutshell, pretty much there.
I think it's inevitable for him to play in the second test match in Albury because he can bat as well. So I think
you're right.
He will make his debut in goal. And another thing you called was Ambula's bowling style. You said he might struggle, and under pressure, he couldn't land the ball in the right spot, even though the pitch was helping the spinners.
So he's, with Ambul, he's a fantastic bowler. And overseas, for a change, we have an overseas spin bowler who's pretty effective. I feel he does really well. We won overseas in South Africa and he played a part, and he seems to get that bit of bounce, which normally Sri Lankan spinners don't get. So, but there is, because of his more traditional action that he has. Um, when it's the spin, the pitches we set up, it doesn't set up really well for him at times. So he
Mm.
struggle. It looks like a confidence thing for him, because he was going at over 5 runs and over. And
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
your main spinner goes at over 5 runs and over, and gives the amount of runs he gave, it's an indication that the game is not in Sri Lanka's control. Generally, for us to be really effective in a game, your number one spinner has to go at less than 3 runs and over 2.5.
Yeah.
Because they bowl longer spells. So 20 overs at 2.5, that's what, 50, 60 runs. But he could, I think he bowled 10 overs for 50 or 60
Yeah.
odd runs. So that says we couldn't control it. And I think if you look at the second innings, pretty much we only bowled one maiden over in that whole innings, which was a alarming figure, and that's why we couldn't control things. Vandese being a leg spinner, yes, you touch base about how he came into the team. That's a good reflection of how he's turned it around, similar to what we discussed about Kusal Mendes as
Yeah.
well. So they've made the effort, they've found their way in. But I think for us, we just couldn't control when we were with the ball, and we were really behind on the bat. But something I'd like to, I think, because we're talking about our bowling, it's a good time to, when you look at the opposite of the guys who are batting,
Yeah.
you got to give credit to a 20-year-old Australian batter,
Yeah.
Cameron Green, how big a change his innings was. Because take out, Alex Carey came out. Yes, he has a bit of experience behind him, but you had a guy who, it's his first series out of Australia, playing in the subcontinent. I mean, it's a challenge in itself to change the way he's playing, and to back himself up. So he came with a clear plan where, he'll try to charge down to the spinners, or anything short, or feels he wanted to sweep, he'll get down and sweep. So um, I think the way he batted gave confidence to Alex Carey, who
Yeah.
came in and thought, hang on, I'm going to back the game plan I know. And he just kept sweeping every ball. So that's a massive, that's, I think, what we are expecting of our youngsters, to show that maturity, that for a guy at his age to come in and take ownership of situations and play a brand of cricket. We see that happening with Charit Asalanka to a certain extent in the one days. But we expect that from a lot, because we are having a young batting group, because our senior batting group hasn't been able to live up to the expectations.
If only we had Charit Asalanka in the squad, Bora.
Yeah.
We could have brought him in instead of Osha Fernando to bat in the second innings.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was because he was one guy who, when we had our backs against the wall, he was the one who played the counter-attacking inning and got us out of the trouble. And with the Queller doing the similar thing, if only we had him in the squad, we could have brought him in, got him to score 50, 60 runs, and even like 100 runs target on that pitch. We might have pulled off a victory on that pitch. You mentioned about Cameron Green. When he first came out, Bora, he didn't look like an international cricketer. He looked like a player who's going to take some time to find his feet in international cricket. But now you can see why they back him to be there all around. Not only him, all the batsmen clearly had a plan, Bora. They covered the stumps and they played their shots. There were lots of premeditated shots, but I think they had about 3 plans to score a boundary of the bowling of spinners. Yes, they lost wickets, but they got the runs, which was the important thing on that pitch.
Yeah, and for Australia, for them, this is a massive win for them, especially on the back of, I mean, they always talk about 6 years ago where they came, and it was a very bad experience for them overall. When they walked out of that test series, the
Mhm.
whole system was questioned.
Yep.
They are only flat track bullies, they can't
Mm.
play spin. Nathan Lyon was almost questioned by, I mean, the coach in setup at the time. Is he the right spinner to lead them? The
Mm.
batting, Usman Khawaja lost his spot
Yeah.
within the Australian team after that series because they say he can't play spin. Adam Hodges, we know, struggled and his career ended. So a lot of scars out of that tour for this group of players. So they've bounced back. I mean, that's why Khawaja said it was a very one of the toughest games to play, and then for them to win it, he knows what a big relief it is. I
Mm.
know they didn't score 100, but it gives them that belief that they've countered or managed to overcome the scars of that 6 years ago series.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of doubts going in, like the batter, like the, I think within the camp they're saying the batters can't handle spin, and then the batters put in the question,
Yeah.
and how come you guys can't take any wickets on spinning tracks like
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
So um, it's massive for them because, I mean, Warner, Khawaja, Smith, Stark, Lyon, that's a core group of players. So for them to come back and adjust well and they had certain plans for them to come out on top. That's a reflection on how the modern game, how they've changed and adjusted. I think we, on the flip side of the coin, we were a bit more optimistic, being more laid back, thinking, hang on, we got this covered.
Yeah.
And we were found wanting. I think I touched base about Nathan Lyon having to work on
Yeah.
changing his release ball point of release just slightly to counter that. I think he's done the hard work there to make that change and get that effect.
Mm.
And a lot of hard work with the coaching setup out there.
No, you're right. Like first time in a long time, we went into a test series as favorites and we blew it. So now we
Yeah.
are playing catch-up cricket to draw a series now. Angelo Matthews is back. He's cleared to play in the second test. Bora, that's very good news for us.
Yes.
What do you think? Well, they'll have to bring in someone for Embuldenia. What changes you're expecting in the second test?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one because with Embul out, the number one or leading spinner of your attack is again going to be another youngster. I mean, Ramesh Mendis, yes, he bowls off spin, he had a good outing, but he's settled into more the all-round spinner slot. Um,
Mm.
so Van der Sar is new. I mean, Dunit, he did really well. So uh, what's on the selector's mind or the management's mind is what they saw of him in the one-day setup. So
Yeah.
he looks like he'll edge out to get that spinning spot because he bats. Mahesh Theekshana might be another outside one that the
Yeah.
guys are thinking, but then question is who do they bring him in for? Do they? I mean,
Bandits, you have to miss out then.
yeah. So
Because Donit can't bat number 7.
nah.
There's no
So
balance. Like we are struggling with batting anyway. We need batting.
yeah. Not sure which way they'll go, but I think Dunit might play. That's the indications.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be a big shuffle of the playing 11. I know it's the first stage was a disaster for us, but I guess we got to learn from the disaster and then settle in.
Mhm.
We can't suddenly chuck like what. That's what I was a bit seeing the headlines of getting 3 spinners into a test squad into a second test match just unsettles the
Yeah.
camp by a lot of shuffling in. So we are behind the 8 ball at the moment. We just got to. I mean, we know it's a result-oriented pitch. We just got to bank and set into a certain set of plans that we want to play. Chris Silverwood, of course, it's not his comfort zone at the moment, playing with all these spinners. He's
Mm.
not used to this game plan.
No.
Uh, So at the moment, his hands are tied, following the directions. When we won in Bangladesh, we won it on the back of the fast bowlers,
Yeah.
not so much the
Yeah.
spinners. But here we are playing with one fast bowler, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot that he can do there to change.
Basically, in goal, Bora, you want your fast bowlers to bowl with the all ball because
Yeah,
the ball get roughed up a lot because
yeah,
the spinners are bowling, and you can get some reverse swing going, especially with that breeze going across the ground. So after 40th or 50th over, your fast bowlers can get you a couple of wickets. I
yeah.
mean, after the Fernando, he took 2 wickets. He finished off the tail. Yeah, but after what we've seen in the first test, you don't really want to play two fast bowlers. So I don't know. Matish might come in and bowl with the new ball. Then Van der Sar might have to miss out.
Yeah, could be, but then how do you justify a guy, give him one test and you forget about him for the
Yeah,
next?
horses for courses.
Yeah. The plan, I think they'll have to, because they know it's a sweeping plan that the batters have against it. They've got to get onto the stumps a bit more, because then the dot ball keeping low, and
Yeah.
the natural variation of the pitch, you have the LB in play. But then you got to set the fields, so you need your four fielders behind the wicket, so that could be you need a short fine,
Mm,
and then square leg behind. And then you need your point. He could be at the boundary or up. So that's your sweeper boundaries, just more behind into the stumps rather than in front. So, um, like for example, Van der Sar, he bowls his leg is outside off stump, and it opens up because it's a sweep. They are sweeping the ball. So the reverse sweep, when they do it, it's pitching outside off stump. LBs are not in play.
mm.
Our guys, when we are sweeping, we are trying to sweep balls onto the stumps. That's why we got caught. LBW sweeping the
Yeah.
ball. So
And they're not
because
picking the length like this.
yeah, so
Nah.
that's that change or line change of line our bowlers will have to bring. I mean, Dunit playing in might bring that more into play. Same with Mahesh Deekshan if he brings in. Um, that's a game plan we have to change. Not so much massively change in the setup. It's okay. How can we bowl into a tighter line? And we know the guys like Alex Carey are going to sweep. So your short, fine leg becomes a catcher for a top edge sweep,
Yeah.
or a leg slip, and then have your square leg just behind to get that, like Angelo Matthews got out,
Yeah.
trying to flick it off his hips. So those are the game plans we'll have to adjust. But it's it's become, I mean, when Australia does well, their team looks really strong, right? They've won on it on the back of Smith not scoring runs,
Mm.
Warner not so much being an effect, but they managed to win off Cameron Green, Khawaja, and Alex Carey out there. So um, we need to turn things around really fast,
Yeah.
just to show that we can share the Warren Murali Cup.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
just
the World
on
World Test Championship. We were
Yeah, that's another thing.
hoping for a series win and hoping
Yeah,
for then a series win against Pakistan and hopefully win in New Zealand and make the finals. But I don't think
yeah.
we are out of it now. So
At least the good thing the Sri Lankan boys did was we finished early. Make sure the Aussie boys are out there spending a bit of cash in golf,
they
stimulating
were
the
in
economy a bit
Unawatuna.
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting some dollars into the economy. So um,
Oh,
they'll have to reset themselves up. But yeah, and funny thing with I was just following the match on TV and the coverage. We are playing for the Vaughan Murali series, so that's a cup in its, or the shield or what in its
hmm.
own. Then you have the Moose Cup. You've
Yeah.
seen the cup of the Pat Cummins wouldn't want that in his luggage. It's going to be, it'll be hard to wrap in a box and
Extra.
take it home. So Australia prepared a lot better than
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
how we prepared.
Nah.
So,
this is something happened in the test match. Protesters up on the goal fort chased away by the Sri Lankan army, and the explanation given was the batsmen were distracted because of the I think they're talking about the banners they were holding. And the Australia team has come out and said, "No, it wasn't true. We were not complaining." So, and before the test match, there were like 2 lines of gas
Cylinders.
bottles around the ground, blue and yellow gas bottles, and miraculously before the test match, the yellow gas bottles, I think they had the gas delivered just before the test match. So some people ask why we are playing cricket in a economic crisis, but that's one good thing happened because of the test match in Goa. People at least received some gas delivered.
Yeah, you're right. There's economic crisis, and the cricket coverage we see doesn't show the exact picture of what's going on. We need, I mean, it's a challenge on its own, but we need teams like Australia touring out to Sri Lanka, because I mean, we've seen more views out there with some of the tourists traveling out. That's good for the economy, but I mean, there is a struggle out there. That's the reality of things, which is not easy on a lot of our friends and family and people in Sri Lanka. And day in, day out, we're just trying to find a solution to come out from it. So but Sri Lankans love their cricket, and we know how massive the win in the one-day series was and how it lifted the mood in the camp. The test team is struggling to get that momentum going, or bring similar results, but I'm sure they're trying their best.
So the second test starts on Friday 8th. Hopefully we can pull off a win and draw the series. There's a LPL draft happening this week, and we'll keep an eye on that and have more details about that when we have a chat next time. And there's a very interesting test match happening in England. Johnny Bairstow is killing it at the moment with 500s this year. In the next episode we'll talk about that test match as well, and Sri Lanka women's series against India. We'll talk about that as well, Bora. So what to talk about next week?
I think we'll try to have a separate episode to cover a bit of cricket away from Sri Lanka and what's happening. I was surprised reading the LPL draft. That seems to be happening really fast, so we'll hear more on what the auction has happened or where the player movements are. But I think focus is on Sri Lanka trying to turn things around really fast in going into the test series. And a lot of it would be setting that, I mean, first innings go up well, having a big score up there. So the pressure, we can start focusing on, the bowlers hitting good lines, good spots, and creating that extra bit going there. I guess from a management, they'll be speaking to the players, just trying to calm things down, because the way the second innings fell away for us in our batting, you don't want that collapse. You want it as a more of a once-off scenario. So they'll work through certain plans, how they want to work on it. I think they need to give the freedom to the batters. I think that's what we discussed. Chris Silverwood talks about players owning their own space. And that's what we want to see from an experienced or a more matured batting group, is they learn on their own. Like you have your Dimuts. Angelo coming back is a good thing for us. Even Kusal Mendy's bit of maturity. Chandimal is on a little bit of pressure now with the one-day failure wasn't the best going into a test setup, so it kind of gave a mixed reaction to his form. His test form was all right, but the failure of the one-day, then the test match failure, and now again, there's a bit of doubts on his spot back again. But those players are into their 30s, maturity level. They need to be able to learn or coach themselves to be better players. So we'll be able to gauge how that they've turned that around in the next test match.
Yeah, hopefully Sri Lankan win. We had lots of messages and comments coming our way. Sanjeeva on Twitter asked us whether we can do a Twitter space before the test match. We will try to do one before the test match or during the test match. Keep an eye on our social media. We'll post when we are going to do it. Then you guys can join us and, we can have a chat about Sri Lanka cricket.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening in to another episode. Keep supporting us, and we'll be bringing out more content as we go along.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Yep. Hope for a Sri Lankan win. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.